All right. It's been an awesome day. I hope you shared that with me. I think I have learned a lot. I'm sure we all have learned a lot. And boy, learning do we have to do. We have to learn a lot, and we need to continue to learn a lot. You know, it's been 55 years since the physical separation of our nation. But really, as Dr. Solis told us, it's been much longer than that. It's a long history of using politics to divide, as opposed to using politics to unite. We keep dividing. I mentioned some of the divisions in my earlier remarks today. We continue to divide. Dissidents, opositores. We continue to constantly break down groups into smaller and smaller groups, thus adding to the problem, not looking or facilitating the solution. The solution lies in unity, and that unity has to come from our Cubanía, from the very fact that we have dignity as human beings, and we have dignity that needs to be there as members of the Cuban nation. In those years, we have used multiple strategies, and we're still here. And we're still having this kind of conversation. And on the other side, there are people who are having the same kind of conversation. Sitting down, sitting back, and protecting our safe space, that space in which we find comfort, where we feel good, where we have historically felt good, and licking our wounds, as Donna has written in her book, is not a very good way to move forward. We must rise, and as Beton told us, we need to take risks. Risks for the sake of a better and a different future. And yes, Plinio, we might not know the road, but taking a road is a hell of a lot better than standing still. Okay. Dignity needs to play an incredible part. Recognizing the dignity in each and every one of us, and recognizing the dignity in each and every one of our political adversaries is essential. But it's also essential to recognize that our own dignity. And when we do recognize our own dignity as Cubans, as part of that Cuban nation, we realize that it takes from our dignity to expect others to solve our problem. Washington is not the father that knows best. Yeah. We know better. We have to know better. Because in the end, Washington and Havana may have their own set of problems, but the Cuban nation has its own set of problems. And Washington and Havana may need to solve their problem, but we need to solve ours. And we need to solve our problem not because we have a problem today, but we need to solve our problem so that we do not burden that future Cuba with the same traits and the same illnesses that have plagued our past for the last 100 and so many years. We have to learn to do things differently. Recognizing that dignity in ourselves is going to allow us to stand up and decide to do something different, to reach out and to look for solutions. We need, as I think it's the ambassador that said it today, we need to stand up, take a step forward, and decide to be part of the solution and not continue to be part of the problem. We need to take those risks. As I have said, and I close with these remarks, as I have said in previous conferences, and I think that's a consistent theme, when we begin to look at our problem, not as a conflict to be won, but as a problem to be solved, then we begin to think creatively and begin to look in different ways. None of us have the magic bullet. Magic bullets do not exist. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of sacrifices. It's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of other things that happen all the time. But certainly taking risks and moving forward for the common good. Those 11 million people on the island who don't have a voice on this debate, who don't have the freedoms and the facilities that we have here to engage in this endless debate, they have to struggle for their day-to-day needs. Those 11 million people are the ones that need a better future now. The problems of justice, all those other things that we insist are important, and they are important, they can take their turn. As we move from A to Z, let us not worry today about X, Y, and Z. Let us worry today about B, C, and D. And we need to start moving forward in this process for the sake of the better good and the sake of our nation. With that, I'd like to thank our outstanding panel today. It's been extraordinary. And thank you to each and every one of you for putting up a whole day here, patiently listening, but hopefully it's been a fruitful and worthwhile experience. Thank you for coming. Okay.
And could I please ask us all to give a big round of applause to this rock star, Carlos, because if it weren't for he, it wouldn't have happened.